This December 2009 report says Reno is among the cities with the worst water in the United States. Yet the Truckee Meadows Water Authority says our water quality is among the best in the country. What's the difference? Well, partly it has to do with statistics, in particular sampling and bias. Let's watch a short video that describes some of the ideas between census, sampling, and bias.
Wyoming is home to more geysers than any other place in the world. About 3 million visitors a year come to see Old Faithful and the other natural wonders of Yellowstone. Wyoming is the 10th largest state in the United States, yet it has just one congressperson in the U.S. House of Representatives. That's 1 out of 435 members. Why? Because Wyoming has the smallest population of the 50 states, and the number of representatives a state sends to the House is based on its population. How do we know the population of Wyoming, or any state for that matter? Every 10 years, the federal government takes a census of the people living in the United States. A census is supposed to be a complete count of a population. When a census is taken, surveys are mailed to every known household in the United States. Most ask just a handful of questions. How many people live at an address, and what are their ages, genders, and races? From the answers, the government develops statistical summaries about the general makeup of the U.S. population.
I got markers, pencils, everything to give away Census 2000. This is your future. Don't leave it blank.
But the government also wants more detailed information, including information about how many people are employed, how Americans spend their money, and how many children and adults attend school. So 1 in every 6 households is sent a detailed questionnaire. This is an example of sampling, selecting a portion of the population to determine information about the whole population. The statistics generated from the sample are interpreted as reflecting the entire U.S. population. Sampling is used in a wide range of professions. For instance, a market research firm might do a survey to learn what products people in a certain community buy. In politics, opinion polls are important tools for collecting data. And in manufacturing, the quality of a batch of goods produced is assessed by testing a sample. In each case, the reliability of the data depends on how good, that is, representative, the sample is, how well it represents the population being studied.
A census is a complete count of the entire population. For example, in the United States, we have a census every 10 years. It's coming up this year. If we were to survey all the students at Sparks High School, that would be a census. On the other hand, with a sample, all the members of the population are not surveyed. The sample must accurately represent the population under study, however. So on the proficiency test, you'll be asked to distinguish between a census and a survey, where a census is the entire population and a survey is a sample of that population. You might also be asked to identify types of samples. A random sample is one in which every member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. We select members from the population randomly. A stratified random sample is one in which the population is divided into distinct groups, for example, 9th, 10th, 12th, and 11th graders, and then samples are selected randomly within each group. In a systematic sample, the sample is selected according to a specific rule, like every third student. In a convenience sample, the members of the population are selected who are easily accessible. For example, I may choose to just use the students in my classroom. That's a convenience. In a self-selected sample, the sample comes from members of the population who volunteer. If you decide to text your pick for American Idol, you are part of a self-selected sample. Remember, though, the sample must accurately represent the population under study.
Young people represent the most active group of cell phone users. Suppose a wireless company is considering how to market to this group. The firm is interested in the spending habits of people between the ages of 18 and 22. Suppose company representatives visit college campuses across the U.S. The reps ask 100 students with cell phones on each campus how much they spent in the last year on non-essential items, such as entertainment, clothes, and electronics. The percents for each $1,000 range are displayed on a frequency histogram. The histogram displays how many of the averaged samples fell into each category. The wireless company gets the impression that more than half of American college-age cell phone users spent over $4,000 annually on non-essential items. Notice that the survey included only students with cell phones. Because it did not consider students without cell phones and did not consider 18 to 24-year-olds not attending college, the samples were not representative of the entire population in the target age range. A sample that is not chosen in such a way that it is representative of a population is said to be biased.
So remember that bias can happen whenever the data is not representative of the entire population. It could be because the sampling technique is flawed. Suppose that I want to do a report about how students think about Braille, but I only survey freshman Braille. That's going to introduce bias into my report. Or the question could mislead the survey respondent. What if I asked, don't you think Sarah Palin has the best chance to be the first woman in the White House? That's misleading a respondent and may cause them to respond the way they think I want them to respond. That also introduces bias into the survey. Okay, here's an example of what you might see on the proficiency. This is from the sample high school proficiency test. A high school principal wants to determine the average amount of time that all students at the high school spend riding school buses each day. Which group of students could be surveyed to get the least biased sample? Take a look at these options. Make a decision on the basis of what we've been talking about in terms of which option would give them the least biased sample. Remember, this wants to know the amount of time that all students at the high school spend riding buses. So our population is all students at the high school. Our survey then needs to represent all students. If you look at option A, students at the bike rack in the afternoon, that probably is not representative of all the students in the high school, only those students who ride their bikes to school. Similarly, option B, students who do not have a driver's license, won't necessarily be representative of all students at the high school and will probably be biased towards freshmen and sophomores. If you look at C, at first glance, that looks pretty good. It's a systematic sample because we're looking at every sixth bus, but it only is going to sample those students who ride the bus that day. And remember, we wanted to know all students at the high school. So our option D, students in one social studies class from each grade, is going to give us the least biased sample. It's going to be a stratified sample because we're taking one class from each grade. And because we're using social studies classes, hopefully it would be representative of all students in the high school. Okay, that's it for today. We have some sample problems for you to try. Make sure that as you go through these problems, you think about the topics that we've talked about. And if you have any questions, be sure to see a math teacher near you.